House will please be in order. Those persons not having privilege of the floor will please vacate the chamber. Members and guests in the galleries will please rise as we are led in prayer today by Pastor Daniel Dean. Pastor Dean is the father of our colleague, the gentleman from the 34th, Delegate Dean.
Let's bow our heads together as we honor the Lord. Heavenly Father, I pray that you bless these women and men as they do your work in the state. Oh God, specifically, I pray that through your sovereign providence, speak to every heart and guide each of them to make decisions that will further your will in our lives and for the benefit of your church and your kingdom. Father, I pray for their families that they're separated as they make this sacrifice of their time and talents. Lord, I pray that you, Lord, would bless with your favor, put your favor in their past and in the past of their family today. Father, I pray that righteousness would flow from their hearts and gracious words from their lips as they debate issues which affect the rich and the poor of this state. Bless them with wisdom and peace to accomplish the goals you have for this great state of West Virginia. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Please remain standing as we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance today by the gentleman of the 34th District, Delegate Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members and guests, if you please join me in saying the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members and guests may be seated. Gentlemen, reading of the Journal.
Journal of the House of Delegates, February 26, 2026.
Gentleman 47th, Dr. Canterbury.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read.
Gentleman from the 47th asks unanimous consent that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Further reading of the journal will be dispensed with. Introductions. Introductions. Gentleman from the 66th, Delegate Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Traveling all the way from beautiful Pocahontas County, I've got two friends of mine from Burlington United Methodist Family Services, Miss Eugenia Anderson and Megan Mullins. If you please stand and make them feel welcome. And also somewhere in the gallery, I'm not sure where they ended up, Steve Bellin and Allison Shields are here representing Veterans Upward Bound and Davis Nelkins College. So if you'll please make them feel welcome.
The delegate from the 53rd, Delegate Levitt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to recognize several friends in the galleries here today. Up in the North Gallery, I believe today we have, well, first off, it is Foster Care Day, and so grateful to have all the folks here to help educate us about the services that they perform and for the great work that they do. So we have Julia Kessler and Karna Matheny White, if they are here and can stand. We're so glad to have them from the Children's Home Society. Please give them a round of applause. We also have some friends from around the state with NECO, which helps to do 40% of the foster care placement in our state. So I will read their names. We've got Christy Garcia, Casey Balser, Dreama Short, Taylor Bonnet, Josh Saunders, Rebecca Adams, Stephanie Miller, Travis Wooten, Teresa McCourt, Caitlin McCormick, Nikki Hawkins, Cheyenne Schumann, Liz Poole, Linda Euler, Lexi Maisie, Matthew McSweeney, Jessica Cook. Again, thank you to all of the folks who are here for taking care of these precious children of God in our state.
Delegate from the 97th, Delegate Anders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have several special guests here today. In fact, the most special I could have, if you could direct your attention to the North Gallery. I have my beautiful and long-suffering wife, Laura, as well as my stepdaughters, Sydney and Sophia. The House would make them please feel welcome.
Delegate from the 64th, Delegate Burkhammer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to welcome Max Palmer, if he would stand. He's from Robert L. Bland Middle School in the heart of Lewis County. His mom, Deanna, is in the West Gallery. If she would stand, let's make them welcome.
Delegate from the 3rd, Delegate Willis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Today is an exciting day for me. I've been working on this for a couple years, and joining us today for what I hope is the first annual West Liberty Hilltopper Day at the Capitol are many faculty, staff, and students from West Liberty. For those of you who don't know, West Liberty is the oldest public institution of higher learning in the state of West Virginia. It's our little slice of heaven on the hilltop. So if President Tim Borchers, Student Body President Luke Sweat, and all faculty, staff, and students from West Liberty joining us today could please stand in the House, please make them feel welcome. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, no offense to everybody else from West Liberty, my favorite Hilltopper is here today joining us in the West Gallery, my mom, Miss Laura Willis. If she could please stand in the House, please make her feel welcome.
Delegate from the 50th, Delegate Pritt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a veritable cornucopia of introductions this morning, so I hope you'll bear with me. I have 2 pages with us today from Fayetteville Middle School, so if they'd stand up when I call their name. Mr. Joey Catalano and Mr. Jace Dietrich. They are escorted by Jace's mom and dad, Matt and Lindsay. Matt is the city manager for the town of Fayetteville. I would also like to welcome the individuals from Burlington United Methodist Family Services in Beckley, West Virginia. Their mission statement is to prevent harm and provide hope for healing to hurting children and families. I'd like to make them feel welcome this morning. I also would like to welcome my aunt, Susan Smith, who I have not seen in more than 10 years and coincidentally ran into this morning at the Capitol. So Susan's mother and father-in-law were my dad's foster parents. So I hope you make her feel welcome this morning. And last but not least, in the gallery to the south, I have the entire 8th grade class from Fayetteville Middle School. They're escorted by Miss Beth Ford, Mr. John Rahal, Mr. Tyler Bauer, and Miss Samantha McMillian, who is the daughter of the director of DNR, Mr. Brett McMillan. And I also would like to give a welcome to my son, Abel, who would have been here with them today, but he has the flu and he's watching at home. So I hope you make all of these wonderful people feel welcome to the House this morning. Thank you.
The delegate from the 34th, Delegate Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We got to meet my dad this morning, but my mom is also joining us too. Mom, Debbie Dean, if you'll stand up and everybody make her feel welcome.
The delegate from the 42nd, Delegate Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have, on behalf of Delegate Parsons, I would like to welcome a group of people here from the VFW Chapter 5501 in Ripley, West Virginia. First of all, I asked them to stand as I introduced them. A 24-and-a-half-year Marine veteran, Mike Lane. A 25-year veteran and of the Air Force and Air National Guard, and his wife, Brenda, Rob Taylor. And William Campbell and his companion, Jenny, if they would stand. I saved him for last. He is a 13-year Army veteran, served 3 tours overseas in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Infantry Divisions. But I saved him for last because today is his birthday, and he is my brother, and I'm proud to be his little brother. And I'm going to ask you all to help me welcome these folks, my brother and these fans.
The delegate from the 49th, Delegate Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My grandson's here today. He's in the South Gallery from one of the coolest small towns in America, Fayetteville, West Virginia, the gateway of the gorge. So, Avram Atkins, stand up and make him welcome.
The delegate from the 13th, Delegate Hecker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today in the West Gallery, my lovely wife would please stand, and one of my grandchildren, Cohen Johnston, are here with me today. Cohen tomorrow is his 10th birthday. He's in the 4th grade at Blennerhassett Middle School, Elementary. He's in the honor roll, and he plays basketball. Then I have 3 other of my grandchildren with me, one of which is Tanner Ferguson, who's playing head page for the day, who goes to South High School. He's in the honor roll. He's the treasurer of the Blennerhassett FFA chapter. He does track, and he's a freshman. Then I have 2 of my granddaughters, one which is walking by me to my left, Hadley Ferguson, 7th grade at Blennerhassett Middle School. She's a cheerleader, all-county basketball player, volleyball, broadcasting, track, and she has straight A's too. And then I have Avery, which is a freshman at Parksburg South, cheerleader, wrestler, and going to the state next week for her first time after wrestling for 2 years, and she has straight A's. Please make them feel welcome.
The delegate from the 54th, Delegate Pushkin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our other head page today, joining us again, we have Abigail Phillips. Abigail is a 10th grader at St. Albans High School, and she will also be part of the first group of Girl Scouts invited to the United Nations, and they are leaving next week, I believe. She's accompanied by her mother, Kate, and would the House please make them feel welcome?
The delegate from the 56th, Delegate Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone. I'm joined by a page today. If he would stand up, we've got Tyler Englehart from James Monroe High School. He's a senior, and he's joined by his father, if everyone would make him feel welcome.
The delegate from the 59th, Delegate Shamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an introduction today. I have Miss Tara McCowan and students from West Virginia State University who have spent the morning with me getting a tour, watching the Judiciary Committee, and getting a tour of the Capitol. They're political science majors at State. If they would stand up, they're in the West Gallery, and we'd make them feel welcome.
The delegate from the 23rd, Delegate Worrell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a few introductions this morning. First, I have a couple pages here from the village of Barbersville. Ahil Chima is running around here somewhere. He's escorted today by Lisa McClure. And then also have Rush Barber down here in the front. If Rush would stand up, and his parents, Nicole and Jeff, are in the gallery. If the House would please make them feel welcome. And Mr. Speaker, also today is Foster Care Day, and I'm happy to have a couple of constituents here in the West Gallery. J.C. Bias, she's the director of the West Virginia Fostering Together, and her husband Rod Bias. If they would stand up, and if the House would please make them feel welcome.
The delegate from the 28th, Delegate Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I have a few pages with us. We have Miss Claire Reynolds, Lindley Rayburn, and Jenna Kent, and Miss Kerrigan Ward, if they could please stand. And they are sixth graders at CK Middle School. The House could please make them feel welcome. And then if you look in the North Gallery here, they are being accompanied by former Delegate Doug Reynolds and his wife Marie. If they could please stand in the House and make them feel welcome.
The delegate from the 46th, Delegate Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Delegate Canterbury and I have 2 pages today from Eastern Greenbrier Middle School. They're out here on the floor right now. Arabella Webb and Emmeline Webb, they're here today with their mother in our West Gallery. If she'll stand, Jennifer Webb, will the House please give them a wild and wonderful West Virginia welcome?
The delegate from the 17th, Delegate Penson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. On behalf of Delegate Butler and myself, I have some constituents here from Mason County, and I would ask Miss Kira and Chloe Northup to please stand, and if the House would please make them feel welcome. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, I see in the West Gallery 2 advocates for foster care, and they have advocated in various parts of the state of West Virginia. I'm going to ask Miss Jackie Biddle, who's an attorney, and Miss Savannah, if they would please stand, and if the House would please make them feel welcome.
The delegate from the 63rd, Delegate Dittman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone. I have an introduction to make, but they are watching online. My parents often tune in, but today is my mom's birthday. Please join me in making them feel welcome.
All right, finally, I have an introduction up in the North Gallery. If you please stand, Devin Tennant. He is volunteer with the Wetzel County Republican Executive Committee, and he is also a candidate for the Wetzel County School Board. If the House will please give him a warm welcome.
Gentleman from the 65th, Douglas Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today in one of the galleries, I have a constituent and his family, Jason Marsh. If they would please stand and the House make them feel welcome.
Further introductions. Standing committee reports.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 4538 regarding limited use of equipment to enforce speed limits in Division of Highways work zones, House Bill 4986 relating to child welfare, House Bill 5060 relating to decentralized unincorporated nonprofit associations, House Bill 5484 creating the crime of conspiracy to deny medical treatment to victims of sexual offense, House Bill 5528 relating to protection of personal residential information of certain public officials, and reports committee substitutes back therefore with the recommendation each do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 5649 relating to confidentiality of certain records pertaining to adults and facility residents, and reports the same back with the recommendation that the bill do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Education has originated House Concurrent Resolution 23 requesting the Joint Committee on Government and Finance to conduct a study investigating the most appropriate method of providing more Firefighter 1 and 2 instructional programs across the state, and reports the same back with the recommendation that the resolution be adopted but first be referred to your Committee on Rules.
Report will be received and the resolution will be referred to the Committee on Rules.
Your Committee on Education has originated House Concurrent Resolution 24, requesting the Joint Committee on Government and Finance to conduct a feasibility study investigating the consolidation of the 55 county-based school districts into fewer regional districts, and reports the same back with recommendation that the resolution be adopted, but first be referred to your Committee on Rules.
Report will be received and the resolution will be referred to the Committee on Rules.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration House Bill 4025, exempting certain employees from the classified civil service system, House Bill 5441, reforming state personnel system, House Bill 5622, amendments to city charters, and reports committee substitutes back therefore with the recommendation that each do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration House Bill 4772 to ensure the integrity of West Virginia's Medicaid program by requiring regular verification of enrollee status and prompt removal of deceased individuals from active Medicaid rolls, and reports the same back with recommendation that do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration House Bill 5260 relating generally to medical cannabis, and reports committee substitute back therefore with recommendation that the committee substitute do pass, but first be referred to your Committee on Judiciary.
Report will be received. Gentleman, the first.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The two chairs having conferred, I ask unanimous consent that the second reference to your Committee on Judiciary be dispensed with.
Gentleman from the first, ask unanimous consent that the second reference for House Bill 5260 to the Committee on the Judiciary be dispensed with. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Clerk will please place the bill upon the calendar. Further report to standing committees.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources had under consideration House Bill 5004 relating generally to coverage of PANS and PANDAS, House Bill 5327, West Virginia ALS Care Services Act, House Bill 5466 relating to abuse prevention program, and House Bill 5563 to create the West Virginia Timely Transplant Referral and Veteran Care Coordination Act, and reports committee substitutes back therefore with recommendation each do pass.
Report to be received.
Your Committee on Finance had under consideration committee substitute for House Bill 4588 relating to participating in the Federal Tax Credit Scholarship Program and reports a committee substitute for the committee substitute back therefore with the recommendation that it do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Finance had under consideration House Bill 5511 to allow money to be paid to County Board of Education employees' estates for accrued and unused leave if they pass away before retirement and reports the same back with recommendation that it do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Finances had under consideration the committee substitute for House Bill 4784, extending the qualified opportunity zones until July 1, 2032, and reports the committee substitute for the committee substitute back therefore with the recommendation that do pass.
Report to be received.
Your Committee on Finances had under consideration House Bill 4001, creating Team West Virginia Corporation. House Bill 4010, providing a statutory program for loaning financial assistance to local airports for airplane hangar construction in the state. House Bill 5088, relating to natural resource police officer retirement. House Bill 5353, to bring virtual currency kiosks within the purview of money transmission licensure and create disclosure requirements and daily transaction limitations for new and existing customers. And House Bill 5515, relating to modernizing and updating workers' compensation statutes, and reports committee substitutes back therefore with recommendation that each do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Finances had under consideration House Bill 5686, relating to the timing of payments of annually required deposit into an eligible recipient's Hope Scholarship account, and reports the same back with recommendation that the bill do pass.
Report to be received.
Your Committee on Finance has originated House Bill 5685, relating to authorizing bonds for improvements to the West Virginia Science and Culture Center, and reports the same back with the recommendation the bill do pass.
Report to be received.
Your Committee on Finances had under consideration committee substitute for House Bill 5438 to modify the foundation allowance to improve instructional programs, and reports the same back with the recommendation the committee substitute do pass.
Report to be received.
Your Committee on Finances had under consideration House Bill 4191, increase the tax credit for employers providing child care for employees. House Bill 4418, creating the Tax Efficiency Act of 2026. And House Bill 5074, relating to changing the allocation of proceeds in the Medical Cannabis Program Fund. House Bill 5464, West Virginia First Live Racing Jobs Act of 2026. And House Bill 5527, relating to wellness reimbursement programs, and reports committee substitutes back therefore with the recommendation that each do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Finances had under consideration House Bill 5480, relating to establishing the West Virginia Youth Summer Employment and Career Readiness Program, and reports committee substitute back therefore with recommendation the committee substitute do pass.
Report will be received. Other standing committee reports. If not, select committee reports, executive messages, Senate messages.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment committee substitute for House Bill 4215, Department of Health Rules Bundle.
Message will be received. Gentleman first.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this has to do with the Department of Health Rules Bundle, bill number HB 4215. The bill authorizes the Health Rules Bundle. The amendment adds additional sexually transmitted diseases, which may be treated through expedited partnership therapy, and returns a definition of video conferencing to the assisted living rule, which was previously adopted by the Rulemaking Committee for clarity purposes. I move, Mr. Speaker, that we concur with the Senate amendment and the title amendment.
The question now is on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment on committee substitute for House Bill 4215. Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of adoption of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. Gentleman from the 53rd Docket Leavitt, your vote didn't register. Clerk will now please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 93 ayes, 3 nays, and 4 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4215.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next Senate message.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment House Bill 4575, making supplemental appropriations to State Board of Education.
That message will be received. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bill number, House Bill 4575. This was a supplementary appropriation bill to provide $8 million to the Department of Education to address anticipated shortfalls in the Hancock County school system. The Senate amendment adds language to make the Financial Stability Loan Program a part of the line item appropriation. So the amendment is consistent with the House's purpose in passing the bill. I move to concur with the Senate amendment.
Gentleman from the first moves that the House concur in the Senate amendment on House Bill 4575. Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of the motion to concur in the Senate amendments will please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 4575.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to make the bill effective for passage.
Gentleman the first moves that the bill be made effective for passage. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent. 2/3 of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill effective from passage. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. This time, is there a need for further consideration of committee substitute for House Bill 4215? Gentleman the first.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to make that bill effective for passage.
Gentleman the first moves that committee substitute for House Bill 4215, Department of Health Rules Bundle, be made effective from passage. Those in favor of the gentleman's motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 93 ayes, 3 nays, and 4 members absent. 2/3 of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill effective from passage. Clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next Senate message.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment committee substitute for House Bill 4433, prohibiting human smuggling and trafficking.
Message will be received. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment made the following changes here. First, it rewrites the definition of human smuggling to exempt the conduct of any person acting in the scope of employment or fulfilling a lawful contractual duty. The Senate also amended the bill to remove the phrase travel to a location, including actions intended to, in the definition of human trafficking. Third, it rewrites the definition of illegal alien to include an individual who is otherwise unlawfully present in the United States as provided under federal immigration law. And fourth, it clarifies the Forfeiture Act section to specify that the conveyance is used in human trafficking or smuggling. The Senate also made a number of stylistic changes. While most of the amendments are technical or minor in nature and do no harm to the bill, the amendment to the definition of human smuggling creates a broad exception to employment activities that are rather ambiguous and could immunize potentially bad actors from prosecution. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move that the House concur with the Senate amendment and the amendment with further amendment to clarify the definition of human smuggling.
Gentleman from the first moves that the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment with further amendment on committee substitute for House Bill 4433. Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment with further amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass as amended? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 87 ayes, 8 nays, and 5 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4433.
Are there further title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next, Senate message.
Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed the following bills. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 44 relating to sale of homemade food items.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 580, updating Practice Act of West Virginia Medical Imaging and Radiation Therapy Technology Board.
The message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 676, allowing certain Capitol Police officers to participate in West Virginia State Police Retirement System.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 691, authorizing DOH to provide reimbursement for timely relocation of utilities.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Energy and Public Works.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 697, relating to state road system.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Energy and Public Works.
Senate Bill 744, relating to critical incident review team.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Health.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 774, allowing certain county EMS officers to participate in the EMS retirement system.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Senate Bill 950, relating to mileage and expenses of judges.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 977, creating benefit for duty-related partial disability.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 978, authorizing certain municipalities to become members of municipal police officers and firefighters retirement system.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 997, allowing certain hospital staff members to begin withdrawing from retirement benefits in certain circumstances.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 1020, allowing up to 5 educational leave days within definition of excused absence.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Education.
Senate Bill 1059, relating to agreements between solid waste motor carriers and commercial customers.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization. Further Senate messages, if not resolutions, petitions, bills introduced, motions, unfinished business.
House Resolution 13, proposing approval of United States House Resolution 5966, Ohio River Restoration Program Act.
The question before the House is, shall the resolution be adopted? Is there debate on this resolution? Gentleman from the 11th, Dr. Fehrenbacher is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This resolution deals with the Ohio River. The Ohio River is a major river in the United States, with its watershed spanning 15 states and serving 30 million people. The river is 981 miles long, forming the western border of our state for 277 miles. This resolution urges passage of the United States H.R. 5966, known also as the Ohio River Restoration Act. It establishes the Ohio River Basin Restoration Program to improve water quality, increase flood resiliency through restoration of natural systems, to protect and restore fish and wildlife habitat, improve public access and recreation, and improve public outreach and education. As resolved, this House of Delegates resolution urges passage of H.R. 5966 by the West Virginia Congressional Delegation to enhance the health of the Ohio River. One other additive point we should all collectively be aware of, that other programs such as this one have provided federal funds for comparable efforts with other bodies of water. Examples are the Great Lakes receiving $320 million in federal funding and the Chesapeake Bay receiving $85 million. I urge adoption.
Question now is on adoption of the resolution just explained by the sponsor. Is there debate on the resolution? If not, those in favor of adoption of House Resolution 13 will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the resolution adopted. Is there further unfinished business? If not, bills on third reading.
Senate Bill 749 relating to county economic opportunity development districts.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, jump from the 72nd. Delegate Riley to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 749 will look very familiar. It is the same as House Bill 4500, which passed this House 86-8. This bill would amend the West Virginia Code relating to county economic opportunity development districts. It would authorize the Berkeley County Commission to levy a special district excise tax for the benefit of the Berkeley County Economic Opportunity District. This district is comprised of 275 acres of land. I urge passage.
Question again before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 88 ayes, 6 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Senate Bill 749.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Senate Bill 862, repealing addiction treatment pilot program.
The question before the House, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 55th, Delegate Akers, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 862 simply repeals an existing section of code for an unused and unfunded program, which since its passage initially has been replaced by other programs such as the GOALS and RSAP programs and the peer recovery services. So it's a brief explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 95 ayes, 0 nays, and 5 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Senate Bill 862.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4006, creating the West Virginia Aerospace and Advanced Manufacturing Growth Act.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? For what purpose does the chairman of the 72nd, Delegate Riley, seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, do you seek unanimous consent to amend the bill on third, please?
Gentleman from the 72nd, Delegate Riley, asks unanimous consent to offer an amendment to the bill on third reading. Are there objections? No objections are heard. The clerk will please report the amendment.
Delegates Riley and Hornby move to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Riley and Hornby 2-27, number 1.
Questions on adoption of the amendment. Are there objections to having the amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. Chair recognizes the sponsor to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the back of the bill, there was a aviation and workforce development fund that was created. The intent was to allow every higher education institution to participate. As the bill came out in a committee substitute, it specifically listed Marshall, West Virginia University, and Fairmont State. This just opens it up to every 4-year college and community technical college within West Virginia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question now is on adoption of the amendment just explained. Is there debate on the amendment? Lady from the 71st, Delegate Kimball, is recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of the gentleman's amendment and appreciate it. I hope everyone will vote yes.
Question again is on adoption of the amendment. Is there further debate on the amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill? If not, clerk will please read the bill a third time as amended.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4006, creating the West Virginia Aerospace and Advanced Manufacturing Growth Act.
Question to get out before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 72nd to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill would amend the West Virginia Code by adding 3 new articles and amending a current provision relating to the special method of appraising qualified capital additions. The first act creates the Aerospace Development Program to encourage the development and construction, operation and maintenance and manufacturing of the aerospace industry in the state of West Virginia. Second, it creates the West Virginia Job Development Grant Program. This program would authorize a business primarily engaged in the aerospace industry to apply for grants and support the development of its business in the state. The business would enter into an agreement with the Division of Economic Development to make investment of private funds to create jobs. The business would then send the money withheld from the employees filing new jobs to a newly created special revenue fund. From this pool of money, the state would fund grants and businesses to pursue the grant program. Third, it creates the West Virginia MRO Workforce and Aviation Maintenance Education Act. This requires that the Council for Community Technical College develop a program to produce qualified workers in the aviation and aerospace industries. The Council may also work with industry partners to provide tuition reimbursement on on-site apprenticeship and assistance. Lastly, the bill would amend provisions to the code relating capital additions to manufacturing facilities. The Committee on Government and Organization and the Committee on Finance reported a committee substitute for the committee substitute that incorporated a number of changes. The first, it eliminated provisions relating to special appraisals of capital additions to manufacturing facilities. Second, it limited the grant program to projects eligible for the program to limit the expansion, transitional projects, high yield projects, and transformative projects. An expansion transitional project is one that requires at least $250 million in private investment, creates 300 jobs. A high yield project requires $500 million in private investment and creates at least 600 jobs. And a transformative project is one that requires $1 billion investment and creates 1,200 jobs. The amount of the grant is determined based upon a percentage of the withholding for the period of years. In the 20 most distressed counties, the grant can be up to 85% of the withholdings. In other counties, the grant can be up to 75% based upon the number of jobs created. That is paid back over a period of either 5, 7, or 10 years, depending on the determination of the project, or over a period of 15, 20, or 30 years as well. The grant award to the 15 least distressed counties will be distributed as 80% to the business, 10 to the new fund of the Aviation, Aerospace, and Utility Fund, and 10 to the new fund for the Aviation, Aerospace, and Workforce Development Fund. In the next 20 most distressed counties, the middle counties, it is distributed as 85 to the business, 10 to the aviation, and 5 to the aerospace, 10 to the Aviation, Aerospace Utility Fund, and 5 to the Aviation, Aerospace Workforce Fund. In the 20 most distressed counties, 90% goes back to the business, 5 to the Aviation Fund, and 5 to the Workforce Fund in an effort to encourage development in the most distressed counties of the state of West Virginia. The monies in the Aviation and Aerospace Workforce Fund will be used by the CTE, or Council on Community Technical and Education, to create a workforce-ready education. I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman, the 100th, Thurgood Ridenour is recognized.
Will the Vice Chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
I saw that the fiscal note basically said there's no state funding of this at all, but it sounded like the state was going to be involved in transferring grant funds, and I'm just a little confused by that.
That's fine, and the termination of grant is actually used in the bill. So let me boil it down this way. A company comes in, makes a $250 million investment, 300 jobs. As part of the withholdings, instead of paying it directly back to the state, it gets paid into a separate fund, a portion of it. Portion goes to the state, portion goes in the separate fund, of which then can be reapplied for to train the workforce and continue to further the development investment. So state dollars aren't directly going in. It's an innovative way to be able to get companies to recirculate that money and reinvest in the state.
Okay, it sounds like an accountant full-time employment act, but I'm kind of curious. It sounds somewhat like a tax credit. Is there a tax credit involved in this?
So it's not, no,
Because the funds are
it's
being...
just diverting the funds, it does divert the funds from the general revenue fund into that special revenue fund, of which, if they make that investment, they would be able to reclaim some of that back to the business or to the aviation maintenance or the aviation utility fund.
Okay, so it's not a tax credit, it's simply a diversion of those funds from the
Correct.
general revenue to the special.
Yes.
And are there any tax incentives in this, or is this?
So that's a
because I
great
wasn't quite
question.
sure
Actually, if you look at the first part of that, those are all existing tax credits, incentives that are already in there. It is just important for us to be able to send a message that these are available. That's why we repackaged them into that front. So that is not, those are not new in that
Okay,
first
so
part.
this is mainly a creation of a special fund that these funds can be reallocated then,
Correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the bill? Lady from the 71st District, Kimball is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield from the 70th?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have a question about, you're very familiar with the North Central West Virginia Airport, aren't you?
Correct. It is right next to me in your district.
Yes. So, and you probably remember that since 2019, I think we've had millions of dollars invested, private investment.
There have been $1 million
into
investment there,
Yes.
yes.
So what will we do for those companies that have already invested in our area under this bill?
Well, under this bill, if they look to expand, then they would have that opportunity to participate in it.
Okay. And so, well, actually, I think that's all for now. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the bill? If not, gentleman, the 72nd to close debate on the bill.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. Briefly, this is part of our Jobs First Opportunity Everywhere agenda, and this is one that I really support. I do because I think it's a very creative way to encourage companies to invest in West Virginia and then stay for a long time. Because of the way that their investment goes in and they employ people, those dollars eventually do flow back into their companies, but it's over a long, substantial period of time. And we were just talking about the CKB Airport in North Central West Virginia, and that has about $1 billion of annual economic impact. But there's also been a lot of state and federal dollars put into that. This is a situation where you have the opportunity to have companies come in, locate for 50 years to be able to continue to employ the citizens of West Virginia. And so, I mean, we have a strong history of the aviation and the aerospace industry with Chuck Yeager and Katherine Johnson and Homer Hickam. This just sends a message to the world that we still have those folks, and they are right here in the state of West Virginia. And this bill allows every county to prosper and every opportunity for every county to be successful. So that, Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on this question. There were 87 ayes, 7 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4006.
Other title amendments. If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4148, requiring all salesperson licensees to submit proof of authorization to work.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman, the 24th, I'll get Lucas to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 4148 requires an applicant for a real estate salesperson's license to submit proof of United States citizenship or other legal authorization to work. I urge passage.
The question again before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 94 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4148.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4395 relating to investigations of allegations of child safety violations for school personnel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bill was advanced to third reading with an amendment pending. Chair or clerk will please report the amendment.
Delegate Foggen moves to amend the bill. This is HFA Foggen 2-26, number 1.
Question now is on adoption of the amendment. Are there objections to having the amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. Chair will recognize the sponsor, Gentleman the 14th, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is just a typographical error cleanup.
Is there debate on the amendment? Question again is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill? If not, the clerk will please read the bill a third time as amended.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4395 relating to investigations of allegations of child safety violations for school personnel.
Question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard, and the lady from the 20th, Douglas Drennan, is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. House Bill 4395 simply strengthens existing laws to ensure that investigations continue whether an employee resigns or transfers. That's this bill. It's simple. It protects our kids. I urge passage. Thank you.
Question again is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman the 8th, Douglas Bell, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the delegate from the 20th for bringing this forward. Far too often we find situations where educators and service personnel get accused of something, and instead of facing the consequences for their action, they find themselves resigning and going elsewhere. This has to stop, and this is an excellent bill. Not only do I urge passage, I hope it's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the bill? Does the lady wish to close debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on this question. We had 93 ayes, 0 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4395.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4471, approve sewage systems for rental property.
This bill was advanced to third reading with an amendment pending. This time, clerk will please report the amendment.
Delegates Green and Anderson move to amend the bill. This is HFA Green and Anderson 2-19, number 1, revised.
Question now is on adoption of the amendment. Are there objections to having the amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. Gentleman from the 36th, Doug Green, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First off, I'd like to thank the gentleman from the 41st for all of the discussions that we had in making this bill better. Simply put, this amendment actually does 3 things. It prohibits renting a property in West Virginia that doesn't have an approved sewage disposal system. It prohibits straight piping from any rental property, and it gives tenants a clear legal remedy when a landlord violates those requirements. Enforcement runs through the Commissioner of the Bureau for Public Health, the same authority that already oversees sewage disposal in this state, and local health departments can receive and refer complaints. That is the amendment. Now let me tell you why this matters. According to DEP's own impaired water list, 1 in every 5 stream miles in West Virginia has fecal coliform bacteria levels that exceed the standard. 41% of our streams are impaired, and DEP specifically identifies straight pipes and illegal sewage discharge as a primary driver in those numbers. In parts of this state, up to 2/3 of homes have no wastewater treatments, and straight piping occurs in up to 140 municipalities throughout the state. In my district, the fish in our streams aren't fit to eat because of raw human sewage. And a West Virginia University study confirmed that when you eliminate those discharges, fecal coliform levels drop. The science is clear, and of course, that's just common sense. This isn't just about McDowell. Fishermen tell me that in parts of the Greenbrier River, they use a whole separate set of gear to fish because of the sewage in the river. This is a problem all over the state. Let me be clear about who this bill is aimed at. We are not going after residents. We are not going after the homeowner who is doing their best. If you are living in your own home, this bill does not apply to you. But if you're collecting rent, if you're making money from a dwelling, that property should meet a basic standard of human decency. If you're profiting from someone else living in that house, the least that we can ask for you is that the sewage isn't running into our streams. The moment you take rent money, you have taken on a responsibility. This bill simply says that the responsibility includes a working sewage system. So let me be direct. This is not a landlord regulation bill, it's a water quality bill. Every straight pipe discharging sewer ends up in the streams that our constituents would like to fish in, would like for their kids to play in, or would like to use for drinking water. Just recently, we had a group come in from across from my father-in-law's house. They rented an Airbnb, and after a day of riding trails, they took playing in the creek, and my father-in-law had to go over and warn them for their own safety that they shouldn't. Before I was born, my grandmother on my mother's side was at the creek bank and got lockjaw from scraping her leg on a cinder block and got infected from that same water. Friends, we want economic growth. We want tourism. Let's get sewer out of our water. We talk constantly in this body about bringing jobs and tourism to southern West Virginia and to all of West Virginia. We have trails, rivers, and mountains. We are telling the world to come here, but if families ride those trails and then watch their kids wade into sewage-contaminated creeks, they don't come back. The rental properties this bill targets, Airbnb, cabins, rental homes, are often along those streams that we're trying to sell to the world. You cannot build a tourism economy on top of raw sewage. This bill and economic development are not in conflict. They are inseparable. I want to address a couple of concerns that we've heard about particularly existing systems. It's been raised, if I have an existing system but it may not have an approval from the health department, how does that work in this bill? And again, with the bill's own language, and I will read from the bill, from the amendment, any existing sewage disposal system that, while not having obtained a permit, is functioning in a manner that does not create a health hazard affecting the public, does not result in surfacing of sewage or effluent, and does not violate any applicable federal, state, or local law, that protection is in this amendment. An older septic system that's working fine is covered. The only thing excluded, and the bill is very explicit, is straight piping, regardless of how long it's been in use. I also want to address the amendment before us. The amendment adds one narrow protective clause, and again, appreciate the gentleman from the 41st, for the good faith landlord that has approved system and experiences a line break. This amendment says that the landlord has 30 days to fix it, as long as they notify the tenant in writing promptly and are actively pursuing repairs before a tenant can claim a habitability violation. And if 30 days isn't enough, for a complex repair, the Commissioner of the Bureau of Public Health or his authorized representative can grant an extension, just as they already can under 16.1-9. That 30-day window isn't a number we invented. It's the exact same time frame that's already in law. The public health code in this bill already references. It's already state law for sewage corrections. Mr. Speaker, I urge adoption of this amendment.
Question now is on adoption of the amendment just explained by the sponsor. Is there debate on the amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the amendment adopted. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the clerk will please read the bill a third time as amended.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4471, approved sewage systems for rental property.
The question now before the House is shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman number 36 for further explanation of the bill.
Basically, the amendment is the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge adoption or passage.
Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman number 50th, Douglas Pritz, recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would really like to thank the gentleman from McDowell for bringing a bill like this before us. Clean water is so important, and all the water we have is all the water we're ever going to have. That's the way that it works. And I have never voted for any bill in this body that ever decreased water quality standards, and honestly, I'm very proud of that. Right here, this bill, we're handling individual situations, and I also promised my constituents that every chance I got to pick up a microphone or stand in front of people, I also wanted to remind everyone that since August of 2022, I have about 400 constituents that have had raw sewage running through their backyards from Mount Olive State Prison and the entire sewer line in that area. So while we're handling individual situations here, and I'm very proud of that, I'm proud to vote for this bill, I also hope in the future that we can address situations where the DEP is just given carte blanche to issue waivers for mass wholesale sewage pollution in our streams. We've got to rein that in, and I just promised my constituents I would always advocate for that and remind people about their situations every day. So I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Question again is, shall the bill pass? Is there further debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 94 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4471.
Are there title amendments?
Delegate Anderson moves to amend the title.
The question is on adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title as amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4477 to give the Secretary of State authority to refer allegations of violations of election laws to West Virginia Prosecuting Attorneys Institute.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman from the 55th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an election law bill, I think a pretty good one. House Bill 4477 mandates that upon the receipt of an election law complaint for a county upon the county prosecutor from the Secretary of State, that county prosecutor shall refer the matter to the Prosecuting Attorneys Institute, who shall then appoint a special prosecutor who will report back to the Secretary of State regarding that that special prosecutor's findings. Also provides for a tolling provision during the pending investigation. Mr. Speaker, that's a brief description of the bill. Urge passage.
Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Lady in the 71st, Dr. Kimball is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just rise in support of this bill. This is an issue that I have been working on since 2023, and although I am not a sponsor on the bill, I really think that it's necessary and it will help to bring more election integrity to our system. Thank you very much.
Is there further debate on the bill? If not, the question again is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 94 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4477.
Are there title amendments?
Delegate Akers moves to amend the title.
The question is on adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title as amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4563 require Easy Pass transponder be registered to person, not vehicle.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 45th, Douglas Brooks, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, the bill in front of you is a pretty simple bill. The committee substitute provides that Easy Passes issued to individual licensed drivers may be transferred among up to 5 vehicles of the same West Virginia Parkways Authority vehicle class owned by the same licensee, and that to participate in such transferal, all such vehicles must be enrolled in the Easy Pass program. That's the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I urge passage.
Question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Gentleman the first. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 94 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4563.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 4981 relating to state psychiatric hospital designations.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman, the 72nd to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill would amend an existing statute that imposed a provider tax on certain hospitals that are non-state designated facilities. The bill would add new language to the statute included of what qualifies as a state designated facility. A licensed psychiatric hospital with an average annual inpatient census patient mix of greater than 95% of the court-ordered forensic and civil involuntary commitments from the state custody or from a state-owned hospital shall qualify as a state-designated facility. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill, please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 93 ayes, 0 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 4981.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5437, creating the Vape Safety Act.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bill was advanced to third reading with amendments pending. So at this time, the chair will ask the clerk to please report the first of the amendments.
Delegate Worrell moved to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Worrell 2-24, number 1.
The question before the House is adoption of the amendment just reported by the clerk. Are there objections to having this amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. Gentleman, the 23rd, Delegate Worrell, to explain the primary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Morning, colleagues. The amendment is a strike and insert amendment that makes technical changes and removes additional, extra, redundant, and unnecessary terms. It also removes a short title. It removes an inspection and complaint process better addressed in legislative rule under the Administrative Procedures Act. And it permits emergency rules and establishes an internal effective date after the emergency rules are adopted. I'm also going to read the underlying bill, as a strike and insert is the underlying bill. So this bill creates the Device and Vapor Enforcement Act, establishing a comprehensive regulatory framework for vape and smoke shops. The bill requires vape and smoke retailers to obtain a license from the Alcohol Beverage Control Commissioner, establishes annual licensing fees, and sets qualifications for applicants and managers. The bill sets location and operating standards for vape and smoke shops, including restrictions on where shops may operate and requiring them to be at least 300 feet from schools, parks, residences, places of worship, alcohol serving establishments, and other vape shops. It also establishes requirements for signage, inspections, and general business operations. These requirements are for new shops, existing shops, or existing shops are grandfathered in. The legislation creates a state vapor product directory with the ABCA, requiring manufacturers to certify that products comply with federal FDA requirements or have been submitted to the PMTA before they may be sold in West Virginia. Retailers, wholesalers, and manufacturers are prohibited from selling vapor products that are not listed in the directory. The bill also prohibits certain marketing practices and products aimed at minors, including products with candy-like branding, cartoon imagery, or packaging designed to resemble children's products. Finally, the bill and amendment establishes inspection authority, civil and criminal penalties, and enforcement procedures to ensure compliance with licensing, product, and operational requirements. In summary, the underlying amendment creates a statewide regulatory system for vape and smoke shops, establishes product safety standards, and restricts youth-oriented products and locations. I urge adoption.
The question now is on adoption of the primary amendment just explained. Are there secondary amendments?
Delegate Clark moves to amend the amendment. This is HFA Clark 2-24, number 1.
Question is on adoption of the secondary amendment just reported by the clerk. Are there objections to having this secondary amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. Chair recognizes the sponsor, Gentleman 99, to explain the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment to the amendment makes perfectly clear that kratom and hemp products are not regulated by this new article, and I urge adoption.
Is there debate on the secondary amendment? Gentleman, the 82nd, Delegate McCormick is recognized on the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to this amendment.
This bill, I think, clearly addresses vape, and I believe it's essentially, by adopting this, you're just rearranging the furniture on the Titanic, because I think most of these shops are going to be closing up, and I think the bill is pretty clear, and I would urge rejection of this amendment. Thanks.
Is there further debate on the secondary amendment? If not, gentlemen, the 99th Douglas Clerk to close debate on the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, I want to thank the gentleman from the 82nd and the rest of the team that worked so hard on this in getting this completed. But in the original, and I need to find exactly what line in the new amendment by the chairman of Health, but in the amendment, it clearly states that during the licensing process, anyone who completes this licensing process is also licensed under hemp and kratom. It clearly states that in not only the original bill, but also in the amendment. I want to make sure that all of the regulations that are already existing in Code 1912E1 and Code 1912F1 pertain to that clause. And that's why I'm asking you to urge adoption of my amendment, because we want to make sure that the hemp and the kratom is clearly separated from the vape shops. Thank you.
Questions on adoption of the secondary amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the secondary amendment will please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. Roll call is requested on the secondary amendment. Is the request sustained? The request is sustained. Those in favor of adoption of the secondary amendment will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There are 29 ayes, 61 nays, and 10 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares that secondary amendment lost. Clerk will please report the next secondary amendment.
Delegate Lucas moves to amend the amendment. This is HFA Lucas 2-24, number 1.
Question now is on the secondary amendment just reported by the clerk. Are there objections to allowing the sponsor to explain this secondary amendment in lieu of having it read in full? No objections are heard. Gentleman, the 24th, Douglas Lucas, to explain the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Within the bill, there's some definitions that are a little ambiguous when it comes to the retailers, and with the main concern being premium cigar stores. And this amendment simply states the provisions of this article do not apply to a cigar store as defined in legislative rule that does not sell vapor products. I urge adoption.
The question is on adoption of the secondary amendment just explained. Is there debate on the secondary amendment? Gentleman, the 82nd, Delegate McCormick is recognized on the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill was never intended to close cigar stores, so I rise in support of this amendment. I think it's okay.
Question still is on adoption of the secondary amendment. Is there further debate on the secondary amendment? Does the gentleman wish to close debate on the secondary amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the secondary amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have. The chair declares that secondary amendment adopted. Clerk will please report the next secondary amendment.
Delegate Dean moves to amend the amendment. This is HFA Dean 2-26, number 2.
The question is on adoption of the secondary amendment. Are there objections to having the secondary amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. Gentleman, the 34th, Douglas Dean, to explain the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment will remove the directory language. For a couple reasons, I'm in support of that. More than half the states that have instituted these directories are being sued now for being in violation of federal laws and for anti-competitive favoritism. The point of the bill is to protect kids. I've spent my entire career doing that. I agree with that part of the bill. The retail licensing language, along with the signage and prohibiting the other tactics that they're addressing kids or attracting kids right now, will still solve the majority of those concerns. What I can't support is creating a costly, duplicative system that benefits multinational tobacco corporations while putting our small businesses at risk. Thank you.
The question now is on adoption of the secondary amendment just explained. Is there debate on the secondary amendment? Gentleman from the 82nd, Doug McCormick, is recognized on the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to this amendment. There has been a lot of work gone into this bill, an incredible amount of work here and over in the Senate. They passed out of committee yesterday a similar bill, and it kept the registry in it. I think ours should have the registry in it. I think that this product should be FDA approved. I think that an FDA approval or pending approval is okay. A bad actor, if you will, which is the people that we're trying to eradicate from this vocation, if you will, I doubt they're going to apply for a license or from the federal government. I feel like this part of the bill gives us a second layer of protection against, in addition to the licensing part of it. We've talked about this prior to today. This is one of the three pillars of the bill, and I strongly suggest leaving it in the bill. We're after the bad actors, and everybody can agree that these vape shops have become the scourge of our neighborhoods and towns and streets. And we've taken a lot of steps to try to ensure that the people doing the right things don't lose their license, are able to operate. These things in this bill are targeted towards the bad actors. I appreciate everyone's support. I urge rejection of this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 25th, Doug Hornbuckle, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the author of the amendment yield? And so if I heard you correctly, you said without your amendment, this would not sync up to federal code?
That's correct. That's why lawsuits are ongoing in other states right now.
And if it does not sync up to federal code without your amendment, could it allow for, let's say, for illegal Chinese vape products to be allowed in our stores?
I'll concede that. Yes, there's definitely that possibility. But we also have so many laws on the books, and I'm pretty sure most of those are broke every day.
Thank you. Permission to speak to the amendment?
The gentleman is recognized on the secondary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'll be brief. I think it's a good amendment because it is protecting us from the bad actors. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 23rd, Doug Worrell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to appreciate my good friend from the 34th and the delegate from the 82nd on this. A lot of work has gone on this, but more importantly, the committee has had a lot of conversations about this and what we should do. And I appreciate that, what our committee members did. And ultimately, our committee decided to advance forward the directory without the dates in it that you see before you on the underlying amendment. And I appreciate that committee process. And so for those reasons, I urge rejection of the amendment as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question still is on the secondary amendment. Is there further debate on the secondary amendment? If not, shall recognize the sponsor. Question before the House is adoption of the secondary amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the secondary amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, will please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the secondary amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the secondary amendment will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 26 ayes, 67 nays, 7 members absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the secondary amendment lost. Are there other secondary amendments? If not, the question now is on the primary amendment as amended. Is there debate on the primary amendment as amended? Is there debate on the primary amendment? Gentleman from the 37th, Gearhart is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I ask the bill sponsor to ask a question?
Sure.
In looking at the bill, is this bill specifically directed toward exclusive marketers, sellers of vape products?
There's a provision in the bill that I didn't mention that previously. There's a provision in the bill that restricts these vape shops' ability to market to kids, using terms like candy and Cookie Monster and et cetera, et cetera.
And I appreciate that, but that really wasn't the direction of my question, so I'll try a little differently. If I have a 100,000 square foot Walmart store that has a 5,000 square foot section dedicated to vapes, is that regulated under your bill?
You have to, more than a third of your inventory has to be vape.
So in my example,
In your example, that store would not be,
they would not have to be.
because if it was a Walmart, if it was as big as a Walmart and it was full of stuff, whatever that stuff may be, and you only had 20 square feet of vape product, it would not be covered under this bill.
Second question I have, when I read
That'd be a big vape shop, though. I mean,
yeah, I got you. Second part of my question, and I'll go by the disclaimer in advance. In my daytime job, I get to look at a lot of local zoning ordinances. I look at them most specifically with regard to signage, which is called out here specifically.
Yep.
But as I look at this, it appears that a lot of what is accomplished in this bill is what is done in local zoning ordinances. So are we attempting to take zoning regulations concerning these type situations away from communities, cities, and counties and put them in the hands of the state?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think the intent is noble, that we're just trying to distract from the attention that these places have and try to gain. I don't think it is an attempt to usurp any local zoning ordinances. Hopefully, if a local zoning authority have not restricted any of this stuff, this would maybe urge them to, and others to do likewise.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, I have never walked into a vape store, have never engaged in the use of a vape. A few years back, when we were talking about cigarette taxes, the vape people were here and they were putting themselves out as an alternative to cigarettes and a way for people to get off of cigarettes. It's sort of interesting how that has now morphed into something that folks don't like. So I would address two different items. Number one, it appears that we have gone after a particular segment of the economy. And as a sign manufacturer, I will tell you that that segment of the economy identifies their enterprises with pretty tacky signage, for the most part. It flashes, it's weird colors, it's large. It's not very attractive to me from a professional standpoint, but frankly, from a professional standpoint, it's extremely effective. It does what they want to do. It puts the product out there in a manner that people see it and want to come do it. I don't know that we necessarily want to, on a statewide basis, regulate things that are pretty much so under the purview of our localities. Nor do I think we want to regulate things that, frankly, that most of us might consider to be tacky. And I think most of those, from my perspective, as a person that engages in that particular industry, I think they're probably fairly tacky. The other side of this is it appears that we are, in fact, mostly attacking a lot of small entrepreneurs. Not again in a business that I care for, but it is a lawful business in the state of West Virginia. And it appears that we're doing everything possible to keep those folks from selling and marketing the lawful product that they have. And we're not doing that with the larger businesses that are in our state. And I have nothing against the larger businesses or the smaller businesses, but if you are Walmart or Target or Sam's or Costco or whatever the case may be, you can engage in this business in a much wider basis than these specific stores and just have a smaller percentage of your total overall operation and be able to sell that. So it seems like we're potentially moving this product inside where maybe more people wandering around a Walmart than maybe wandering around the streets of Montcalm going to a vape shop might have it available. So while I understand the intent, and to be perfectly frank for my friend, I've had people complain to me about vape shops, and we have too many of them in the city of Bluefield. I've also seen a few of those close up because there were several of them around, and the market does what the market does. And when there are too many of a business, competition takes root, and some are successful and others aren't. As such, while I certainly am not a fan of this particular industry, I don't think that I can vote in favor of the amendment or the underlying bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the 57th, I get Lewis is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to rise in support of the underlying amendment in the bill. This isn't about being tacky. These are attractive nuisance, in my opinion, in my conjecture. I'm sure the gentleman from the 55th can correct me. These signage are to attract children. If that's your intended purpose, then again, we as a body need to do something about that. These products in these stores, how they're labeled and how they're marketed, is about attracting children. And I'm sure all of us, or maybe some of us, know people in our community, or maybe even have children who have tried these products. And it's dangerous, and we need to do something about it to curb how they are doing it. There was a signage in the store in Canal City before it got painted over that had cartoon images on the outside of the store. Who are they trying to attract by that? Are they trying to attract us? I don't think so. By having flashing light looking like a darn carnival, it's on us to do something about that. So again, I appreciate the work that went into this bill. I appreciate our committee. I'm definitely 100% in support of it, and I hope you are too, to not only, protect the curb appeal and the beautification of our cities, but also to protect our children. Thank you.
From the 88th, Doug Hillenbrand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's not often that I speak particularly to any bills, let alone an amendment to one, but I appreciate some of the sentiments just been expressed. I too support the amendment here. From my perspective, it's a youth protection bill. And I think many of you know, like most of you in here, I'm in favor of protecting our youth. I'm not going to give you the statistics. You can go look it up on ChatGPT or whatever with regards to the amount of teenagers that are hospitalized, some cases die, put on ECMO, you name it, due to vaping, because we've somehow convinced them that this is a safe alternative without health risks. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll be voting in favor of this amendment.
From the 13th, Doug Heckert's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the statement said that a lot of work's been done on this bill. A lot of us worked real hard on it. A lot of us put a lot of time in it. Whether it does everything everybody wants or it doesn't, the one thing it does is help put this stuff to where our kids can't get to it. I urge adoption, passage, and all the rest of it. This is what's best for our kids. If we're going to help kids, here's where we start. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the 16th, Doug Parsons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of the amendment and the bill. This bill does not get rid of vape shops. It simply gets rid of bad actors in the vape shop business. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the 23rd, Doug Worrell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and obviously I do urge adoption of the amendment. This is, if you're doing this, I'm not trying to take away consumer choice here. If you have a business and you're doing this correctly, you can continue to operate. That's not what this is about. But if you're going after our children in this state and you are going to sell products that have Super Mario Brothers on it or Pokemon, things that go after our kids, we are going to shut you down. That's what this bill says. And I'm in full support of that. So it's not about small businesses. If you're doing this the right way, you can continue to operate. This is about those bad actors who sell illicit products, synthetic products, that live in the back of these stores just to go after our children. We heard testimony of one of these actors texting a high school kid about the products they got in their store. Come get some. That's what we're stopping here today. That's the purpose of this bill. That's why the gentleman from the 82nd has worked so hard on this issue. It's to stop those bad actors going after our kids. I urge adoption of the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 82nd, I got McCormick.
One more thing I want to point out, and obviously I urge adoption of this amendment and the bill, but a good amount of this language should sound familiar. We got it from the LVL hotspot, 300 feet, signage, the licensing process, background check, fingerprints, et cetera, et cetera. That's where all that came from. And this body has repeatedly over the years prior to me being here has upheld the regulations and rules of these hotspot designations or destinations, and that's where a lot of this was derived. And no one's trying to put anybody out of business. There's not a person in here that can say that I'm against business or small business. I think everybody knows that. So that's not the intent here. The signage, you know, this is preying on our kids. I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's been said in the last 15 minutes, everyone said it, but that was the genesis of this bill, to get this stuff out of the schools and out of the kids' hands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the amendment? If not, the question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. The House of Representatives declares the primary amendment adopted. Are there other primary amendments? If not, the clerk will please read the bill a third time as amended.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5437, creating the Vape Safety Act.
Question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman, the 23rd to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The underlying amendment that was just adopted is the bill now. I urge passage. Thank you.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Lady from the 56th, Doggett Young, is recognized to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor of the bill yield for just a question?
Sure.
Thank you so much. I'm fairly certain I'm in support of this. I haven't read through the whole new amendment yet. I'm just curious. It's a pretty comprehensive bill. What all stakeholders were involved in the process?
Parents initially,
Okay.
and then me. And then I got together a work group of delegates that were all interested in this issue, and we jointly met with a group from the Senate that was doing the exact same thing. And so those were the people that were involved. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Was there any industry involved in it at all?
There was not.
Okay.
This was derived from horror stories from parents where this product had affected their kids and grandkids and concerned delegates and senators.
Okay. Yeah, I'm concerned about it too. Thank you so much.
Gentleman the 50th, Doggett Pritt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'd like to speak from the perspective of a school teacher. You know, I was 18 years old when I started smoking. I joined the military, and was in boot camp and then started tech school and picked up a few bad habits, and it's been the hardest things to quit I've ever done in my life. And when I came home on leave for the first time, and my great-grandmother Dorothy found out that I had started smoking, I'm gonna tell you what. She sat me down and gave me what for. And she said something to me that I've thought about my entire life. And it was so simple, but it was very profound to me in that moment. She said, Elliot, not everything made by man is good. And I've thought about that a lot. You know, and to the gentleman from the 37th point, you know, he's in the sign business. He knew my late father. My dad sold billboards for a living as well. My dad helped design billboards. They knew one another. But there are plenty of regulations on signs and advertising as it stands now. I mean, you can't, tobacco companies are severely limited on how they can advertise to the general public, much less children. I think many of you all, if you don't work in a school, you would just be absolutely floored at the amount of these things that we confiscate from kids on a daily basis. I do bathroom duty in our school, and I'm gonna tell you what, walking into the bathroom between every class change, it's like strawberry fields and blueberry haze every single day. Every single day. We had a kid a few years ago. I mean, if you could use your intelligence for good instead of something like this, I imagine what they'd be able to do with their lives. But we found on their school computer like an inventory. They had Microsoft Excel open. They were keeping track of like how many they had on hand, how many they were like selling to other kids, how much money they were making. I mean, like the business genius, you know, to sell these vape products to their fellow classmates. The problem is huge. It is just absolutely astronomical. And I just really, truly don't think most of you realize how bad it really is. It is illegal right now to sell these to children. It's illegal to do a lot of things. But decreasing the supply is never going to be a bad thing, all right? They're getting their hands on them some way or another, and they're not just doing that, they're doing it wholesale. So I really would encourage passage of this bill. I want to speak highly in favor of it and strongly in favor of it. Kids that would have never picked up a cigarette, ever, in their lives, are using these things without an absolute second thought. So I hope you consider my perspective on this and you take into account the words of my late great-grandmother, Dorothy. Not everything made by man is good. So thank you very much.
Gentleman the first, I got McGeehan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
Sure.
Did I hear you correctly when someone, the gentlelady from over there on the from Kanawha County, asked you what stakeholders were involved, and you said parents, delegates,
Yeah.
state senators?
I did, yeah.
Those were the only stakeholders involved that you negotiated with?
I mean, there was agencies that were, you know, consulted with regarding different things, but, you know, tax and whatnot. But the
Okay.
99% of what went into this was from the people that I said.
Sure. But it wasn't 3.5 weeks ago that you read a litany of lists of special interest groups that were against a certain bill. Now you're telling me that you had no negotiations with other interest groups?
I didn't negotiate with anybody. I mean, they
no discussions, though?
No, there was no negotiation with special interest groups.
No associations, none at all. That's what you're saying.
Was there no negotiation with special interest groups? Is that the question?
Negotiations, discussions, stakeholders?
Oh, of course there's discussions. Yeah.
Okay, so it would be fair to say that it wasn't just parents, delegates, and state senators. It was also a lot of special interest groups involved with your talks, right?
Well, let me just say this.
No, I'm asking a question, yes or no?
And I'm going to answer you. But they sought me out. I didn't seek them out.
Gentleman the fourth, Delegate Flanagan.
Can we look at Rule 5, please? Decorum and debate.
Sure, I'm asking a question. I'm just wanting to ask
I think I answered you.
Chair will
That's
rule.
my answer.
The chair has the floor. The chair has the floor. Gentleman the fourth raised a point of order. Chair will sustain the point of order. Gentleman the first is recognized to ask questions as he sees fit. Gentleman the 82nd is recognized to answer questions as he sees fit. We'll all treat each other with respect. So I believe the gentleman the 82nd has the floor to proceed.
Sure, thank you. Of course, there were special interests that I talked to. I didn't negotiate with them. They sought me out. Just like with any other bill that you try to pass or run, they come and they want to put their 2 cents in and 5 cents in and whatever else. So, yeah, sure, that happened.
The answer is yes.
Did I talk to special interests? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Gentleman from the 99th, Clark is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I speak in support of the amended version of the committee substitute for 5437. Mr. Speaker, it's been a true honor to work on this legislation during this session. Many of you all know that this is not a new issue for me. I've been fighting for legislation like this for 4 years because it's about protecting our children, and that it's a responsibility none of us should ever take lightly. My involvement in this began during the drafting and introduction of Megan's Law, which many of you know is one of my signature pieces of legislation. The bill is designed to help children struggling with eating disorders and self-harm. During the process, we learned something deeply troubling. Vaping, marijuana use can numb the diaphragm, making it easy for young people to purge and in turn develop eating disorders. That discovery changed everything for me. In 2022, I began a focused campaign to remove these products from our children's reach. Today, Mr. Speaker, we have an opportunity not just to address the problem temporarily, but to address it permanently. We have an opportunity to get these products out of the hands of our kids forever. Across our state, middle schools, high schools are struggling with rampant vaping and the use of illicit products that often are hidden in these products, many times unbeknownst to the user. Many of these products are manufactured overseas, also often in China. Some of them are so dangerous and unregulated that carry warning labels stating that they are illegal in the very country where they're made, yet shipped here and sold to our children. That's unacceptable to me. House Bill 5437 draws a clear line. It stops smoke shops, vape shops, and companies that profit by targeting our kids and harming the next generation. Today we send a message that we see what's happening and we're done with it. If you want to sell the product, you must have a license to do so. If you want to sell the product, you must do so in a commercial space. You cannot market to minors. And this bill restates that the products are only available for sale to West Virginians over the age of 21. I may not be the lead sponsor. I am proud to be a co-sponsor, and I've played a significant role in getting this legislation where it is today. I'm asking my colleagues not to vote based on personal preference, political ideology, but to vote for the health and safety of our children. This bill tells those who are profiting off addiction and harm that their time is up. It tells them West Virginia will not allow its kids to be used for $1. 5437 is about accountability. It's about public health. And most important, it's about protecting our children. Let's make West Virginia healthy. I urge passage of the amended committee substitute for House Bill 5437. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lady from the 81st, Delegate Hamilton is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in full support of this bill. We have done a lot of work. I'm proud of the work that the committee has done. A lot of times we pass legislation of problems that we do not have in West Virginia. This is a problem that we have not only in adults, but we see a growing problem in our children. We have heard a lot about the marketing, a lot about what type of products have been sold, but from a health perspective in hospitals, vaping is a serious problem because vaping and nicotine delays wound healing. It delays your ability to heal. We have heard in testimony how these products have been found to have 10 times the amount of nicotine. And when you look up nicotine, that means that these products are highly addictive in our kids. We have worked so hard in education to try to support our teachers. We have so many issues in behavior that when you look up nicotine, it talks about how the craving cycle is every 1 to 2 hours. Our kids are in school 7 hours a day. This is why kids want out of school. They have decreased concentration. High amounts of nicotine causes our kids to lose the ability to be able to concentrate on their subjects. It talks about them being compulsive, which deals with their behavior toward their teachers, their behavior towards other kids in classes. They are irritable, they have anxiety, restless, difficulty, a depressed mood, increased appetite, mood swings. This is data that support what nicotine is doing to our kids. Another thing that it does is that it creates a higher risk-taking behaviors. We see all of these things happening in our kids. This legislation not only protects and helps our kids, but it helps our education system. This is a piece of legislation that helps us in a lot of different ways. And it's for this reason, Mr. Speaker, I support this legislation, and I hope we all support it, because we're working hard on different angles to make a difference in our adolescents, and this legislation does that. So I support this legislation. I hope you do as well.
From the 35th, Doug Vance is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, too, rise in support of this legislation. It's on a personal level with me. Of course, you've heard me talk about my dad. He didn't smoke vapes, he smoked cigarettes. I know this bill ain't about that, but vaping can lead to certain things like that, and they come with their own additional health issues. And when it all attacks children of any kind, I'm always going to stand in support of stopping that. We've heard stories and stuff, but I've heard stories of kids as early as in 5th and 6th grade being caught in schools with vapes. I mean, they had to get it somewhere. And if we can stop the bad actors that's giving it to them that young and that early, then I think that's what we need to do. On a personal level, I'm always around kids in my community. I've coached multiple sports from middle school all the way through high school. And one of the vape stories that comes to mind with me is we had a student athlete a few years ago, that healthy young man, was a real good, talented athlete. He knew where to hide his vapes. He knew where to hide everything he had. It never was around us, but we noticed something different about him about 2 weeks into the season. He hit a double and could barely make it to second base. He about passed out there on the field. We went to him. He's like, I just didn't eat today, just didn't eat. We got him off to the side, wouldn't let him go back in the game, and we kept talking to him and talking to him. Eventually, his mother took him to the hospital that night, and come to find out, the vape products that he had been vaping was attacking his lungs and attacking his body and poisoning him. And we lost that kid, we just lost him for a couple weeks, and come back at the end of the season, he was a totally different kid once they could try to get him back off of it. So if this stops any of the bad actors, if it stops one, if that's all it is, it stops one and it protects one kid, I think it's well worth it, and I'm in full support of the bill, and I appreciate the sponsor of the bill bringing it forth and the Health Committee for working on it. Thank you.
From the 54th, Doug Pushkin's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I've honestly gone back and forth on this bill. I serve on the Health Committee, Health and Human Resources Committee, and I heard the testimony, and I've changed my opinion to this bill several times. I definitely hear the concern of the gentleman from the 37th about how it would affect many small, locally owned businesses. However, I'm going to do something that I believe I've never done. I'm going to vote for a bill that is supported by Big Tobacco. And while they may not have been at the table, they might not have been stakeholders in this, make no mistake, they fully support this legislation because they see this as their competitor, and that's a fact. Now, it is true that we heavily regulate the tobacco industry and the way that they advertise, and there should be an even playing field there. I mean, they're not allowed to have big flashing lights. You know, you no longer see, Joe the Camel on advertising anymore. We heavily regulate alcohol and how they advertise. That drug happens to be the most deadly drug known to man, kills more people by far than any other drug, yet it is still safe and legal in West Virginia, but heavily regulated. It's only fair that we heavily regulate this industry too. I would just say that these stores that are often, lit up like the Midway at the Carnival, they are a byproduct of very bad policy. They're a byproduct of prohibition. You don't see stores like this all over the place in states like California and states like Colorado, states that have legal cannabis. So my concern is that we'll pass this law. I hope we don't create further problems down the road through this type of legislation, where we see kids buying black market products that are even more dangerous, because it's very, very difficult to legislate good decisions and morality.
Gentleman from the 89th, Doug Cannon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try not to belabor this much further, but I believe I have a story I'd like you guys to hear that rises far above a lot of the conjecture that I think is believed. One of my committee assignments, Mr. Speaker, when I was a commissioner, was economic development. We had one of the only vape companies ever in our county to come to the county, and we showed them many, many locations, great locations. And the location that they decided to choose was right across from Hampshire High School. And within 6 months, I had a briefing from the sheriff that our BCI was investigating that vape shop for exactly what most of the ladies and gentlemen have been talking about here today. So this is a first-person account where they were giving free samples, and I will not say any names to protect the innocent, but during this sting operation, this young lady who was a minor that went to Hampshire High School had built up such a debt on credit to this place, she was afraid to go in there to fulfill the requirements of the sting operation. This is a real problem, and I'm proud to support my friend with respect to the dissenting gentleman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman to 24th, Doug Lucas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, in case you've been hiding under a rock for the last couple of decades, West Virginia has an addiction problem. We have recovery facilities full of addicts, and our streets are full of addicts. Vape is the newest, hippest addiction. Let's protect our children by passing this bill. Earlier, the gentleman from the 50th mentioned something about the school kids in the bathroom, which reminded me of a 1973 classic rock song, Smoking in the Boys' Room. Well, now they're vaping in the boys' room. So maybe they're going to have to remake that song. It's a shame. It's a shame that that's what it's come to. And if you remember, smoking was cool back then. Look at the movies. If you watch some old movies on TV, everybody's smoking because it was a cool thing to do. It's not cool anymore. You know why? Because it kills people. Well, one day, vaping won't be cool anymore. And I hope today is the day it stops being cool. In closing, I do want to thank the gentleman from the 82nd for all his hard work on this bill and everyone else that participated in any way. This has not been an easy piece of legislation for somebody to see through, and I appreciate his efforts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman to 26th, Doug Rohrbach is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm going to rise, talk a little bit about what my friend from Wyoming County just talked about. I'm going to go into the medicine of some of this just a little bit. My friend just spoke from Cabell about the addiction part, but I'm going to talk about something called bronchiolitis obliterans. otherwise known as popcorn lung. You say, why do we call it popcorn lung? Well, actually, there was a substance called diacetyl that was first discovered to be harmful to cause lung disease in a popcorn factory, microwave popcorn. It was the chemical that gives the buttery flavor to microwave popcorn, ice cream, things of that nature. They started to notice a lot of people got lung disease when they worked around this, and they breathed it, and hence they got this devastating lung disease. Now, my friend from Wyoming talked about his baseball player. They'd obviously inhaled this because let me tell you what has gone on. In food and things, diacetyl, they did away with it in microwave popcorn. Where do they still use it? Vaping products. It's used to give maple flavors, vanilla flavors, buttery flavors. Why do they do that? Because it's addictive. So think about this vote you're about to take. Friends, the medical conditions are real. We need to do some things. If you think every bit of this is not marketed at our children, you are in fantasy land. Period. You're in fantasy land. We need to step up here, do the right thing, put some constrictions on this. These are sensible constrictions, and we need to get on with this and do something to help our kids fight this addiction. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman with 65th, Douglas Martin's recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor of the bill yield for a couple questions?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. So I have a couple questions about the location. So there's still restrictions on location for these establishments, correct?
Location?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So one of them would be for another vape or smoke shop, right?
Right.
They can't be so close to each other.
That's right.
Okay. So if this would come into effect and there's two that are beside of each other, how do you determine which one gets to stay?
They're grandfathered in.
I'm sorry?
They're grandfathered in.
Okay. All right. Great. And then the other question I had was, what's the reasoning behind not allowing them to be within a certain distance from an establishment that is licensed to serve alcoholic beverages?
Well, again, we tried to encompass everything that we could to basically get rid of most of these shops. That's a good question. I don't know exactly why the bar would be in there. Don't have a good answer for you on that, Delegate.
All right, yeah.
I got a good one for all the other places, but I don't have a good one for that one.
Okay, I was curious myself, so I just didn't know. Thank you very much for yielding for questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman 97th, Douglas Anders is recognized on the bill.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a tough one. I understand why we're debating this bill and why this has come up. Because I'm on the Health Committee, and when the gentleman from the 82nd presented his bill, he alluded to all the bad actors that are causing problems here in West Virginia. So I asked him, what exactly are these bad actors doing? And he said one of the things is that they're selling to underage kids. And, well, that's already illegal. And then I asked, what else? He said, well, some of them are here illegally. And I said, okay, isn't that also a crime? Yes, it is. And then I asked, any other things these bad actors are doing? And he said, yes, they're selling products that are illegal currently in West Virginia. And I said, well, they're already illegal. So what I could surmise is everything that these bad actors are doing is already illegal in West Virginia. And the longer I heard about the bill, I heard things like, well, we don't like that these shops are in our district. We don't like them popping up everywhere. And my question is, we're just going around banning things we don't like? So, and I understand, trust me, I understand nicotine is a very addictive substance. I agree. And children should never, it's illegal already for children to do it, and children should never do it. But that's also a thing called parenting, too. And if we're just looking at stuff that's just overall bad for us that we shouldn't have in the state, are we going to ban McDonald's next? So I oppose this bill.
Is there further debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 23rd to close debate on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Briefly, just want to call out a little bit. This didn't start this session. This started last year. Lots of discussions on this piece of legislation, and we decided we would take it in the interim. And I was proud of the Joint Interim Committee on Health right here in the House chamber last year in October. We had a group of panelists up there. We had people from the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network, from MAG Industries, from the Vapor Technology Association, from the Greenbrier County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, someone from agriculture, someone from the tax division, and the ABCA. So there were stakeholders involved in this. We were trying to understand the problems we were facing, and it happened right here in this House. A lot of people paid attention to that. It's kind of where this started and where it was crafted from. And then the delegate from the 82nd took the lead. So this is a continued conversation over a year on how we could properly do this, how we should do this as a state. Proud of the work that has been done, as I said before, this bill, and once again, urge passage of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 88 ayes, 5 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5437.
Are there title amendments?
Delegate Worrell moves to amend the title.
The question is on adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title as amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5613 to allow the Fleet Management Division to adopt the use of telematics systems in all state-owned vehicles and remove antiquated language referencing a one-time audit.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having it read? If not, gentleman from the 68th, Delegate Phillips, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of the committee substitute for House Bill 5613 is to permit the Fleet Management Division of the Department of Administration to adopt the use of telematics systems. That is, electronic devices or systems installed in vehicles to monitor the locations and performance of vehicles under the direction and control of the Secretary of the Department of Administration, unless those vehicles are otherwise exempted. The committee substitute adds in various accountability and oversight measures and authorizes the promulgation of legislative rules governing telematics. The bill also repeals an obsolete section of code. This bill is requested by the Department of Administration, and I urge passage. Thank you.
The question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 92 ayes, 0 nays, and 8 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5613.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Are there further bills on third reading? If not, bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 210, modifying oversight provisions for Legislative Oversight Commission on Health and Human Resources Accountability.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 374, authorizing Department of Commerce to promulgate legislative rules.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 659, prohibiting certain restrictions on regulation of accessory dwelling units.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Phillips moves to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Phillips 2-26, number 1.
Questions on adoption of the amendment? Are there objections to having the amendment explained in lieu of having it read? If not, gentleman the 68 to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of the amendment is to add language requiring foundations for manufactured homes and accessory dwelling units under this article. I urge adoption.
The question is on adoption of the amendment. Is there debate on the amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares that amendment adopted. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4245, authorizing certain agencies of the Department of Revenue to promulgate legislative rules.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4416, classifying forestry equipment for levy purposes.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 4452, to remove more main restrictions on religious organizations.
Are there amendments?
Your Committee on Finance moves to amend the bill. This is HFA Finance AM number 1.
Questions on adoption of the amendment just reported by the clerk. Are there objections to having the amendment explained in lieu of having it read? If not, gentleman, the 72nd to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill changed or eliminated the acreage limits on the size of property. So essentially, the amendment just repeals it because the section became useless. So it's just a cleaner way to deal with the change. So it is just repealing the section of code. Thank you, Speaker.
Question now is still on adoption of the amendment as reported by the clerk and explained by the gentleman, the 72nd. Is there debate on the amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have. The chair declares that amendment adopted. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
House Bill 4768, relating to updating definitions to incorporate federal law changes to qualified higher education expenses for purposes of 529 accounts.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5048, to ensure virtual instruction for foster students while in temporary placement facilities.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Kraus moves to amend the bill on page 1, line 18, following the end of the sentence by adding a new subsection G to read as follows. A foster child may utilize virtual charter schools to satisfy virtual language as otherwise provided for in this section.
The question is on adoption of the amendment just read by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment? Lady from the 19th, Delegate Kraus is recognized on the amendment.
Yes. I ask unanimous consent to withdraw my amendment, please.
Okay. Are there objections to having the amendment withdrawn? No objections are heard, and the amendment will be withdrawn. Are there further amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5065, relating to hotel occupancy tax.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5162, relating to the sales of tax liens.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5321, to guarantee timely educational evaluations and continuity of services for children entering foster care.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5354, relating to authorizing legislative rules regarding higher education.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5381, relating to developing a comprehensive energy development policy and plan for the Office of Energy.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Dillon moves to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Dillon 2-27, number 1.
The question before the House is the amendment just reported by the clerk. Chair recognizes the sponsor, gentleman from the 29th, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute made significant changes to the original bill, including the addition of renewables in 30 different locations throughout the bill, which dilutes the original intent of the bill away from its focus on generating reliable and affordable energy for West Virginia. The amendment to the committee substitute restores the focus on development of our proven coal and gas resources for baseload energy production, clarifies definitions and targets with regard to affordability, and ensures that we are taking into account accurate load forecasting when planning to increase generation capacity. This is an explanation of the amendment. I urge adoption, and I reserve the right to close.
There are two competing amendments filed in the system. They do impact the bill quite differently. So at this time, the chair will ask the clerk to report the second of the two amendments.
Delegate Hansen moves to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Hansen 2-27.
Gentleman, the 79th, Delegate Hansen is recognized to explain the second of the two amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I was reading the strike and insert amendment proposed by our colleague from the 29th, I felt that that was a very comprehensive amendment. It had some good things in it, had some bad things in it, in my opinion. But the best thing that I thought it had in it was a 3-year freeze on electric rates. So my amendment adopts that 3-year freeze on electric rates and amends that into the committee substitute alone without the considerable, significant rewrite of the rest of the bill. So my amendment is simply about that 3-year freeze on electric rates. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to request a ruling on whether the strike and insert amendment from the gentleman from the 29th is germane.
The chair did review the amendment and the underlying bill prior to today's session. The underlying bill is quite broad in nature. It does ask for construction of a plan and does relate to a number of other provisions of the Office of Energy. While the strike and insert amendment is equally broad and relates to various other provisions of the Office of Energy and other parameters within state government, they do relate to the same section of code. They do address the same plan. So the chair will rule that both amendments are germane to the bill.
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 79th is recognized.
I did just want to point out that there is a section toward the end of that amendment that deals with water utilities, and the original bill is about energy.
It does. Chair did review that, and it does get further afield perhaps than many. Chair will nevertheless rule that the amendment is germane to the bill. Both amendments are now open to debate on the floor. The procedure will be as follows. At the conclusion of debate, when both gentlemen have closed debate on their respective amendments, we will take the more comprehensive of the two amendments first. If adopted, we will proceed to consider the bill. If rejected, we'll then proceed to consideration of the more narrow of the two amendments and then dispose of all pending amendments in turn. So the floor is now open for discussion on both amendments. Is there debate on the amendments? Gentleman from the 10th, Douglas Anderson, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will address first the amendment from the gentleman from Wayne. This amendment removes consideration of all forms of energy except for coal and natural gas. Thus, the gentleman would propose that we ignore the potential for electrical generation in this state from hydroelectric power, nuclear power, renewables, geothermal, and hydrogen. So while the governor, in his 50 by 50 plan, wants us to be a state which offers energy generation from multiple sources to attract investment to this state, this amendment would narrow and focus upon coal and natural gas to the detriment of consideration of other forms of generation. This amendment I find particularly troubling because it would reverse a position that this legislature and previous governors took several years ago, because it reinstates the moratorium upon the potential development in the future of nuclear power. Furthermore, this amendment would propose a 3-year rate freeze on electric generation. This simply will starve our utilities from the resources they need to expand to meet growing electrical need, for maintenance of electrical systems and system upgrades. Water, we've been told, and in many parts of the state, our water public service districts are struggling in some areas of the state. They will need rate increases to be able to alleviate their problems and be able to get back up to serve the customers that depend upon them for water. It's been my experience in life, and I've lived through the price freezes imposed many years ago in the oil industry. Price freezes on and the imposition clear back to the President Carter's years of a windfall profits tax upon the production of oil when they felt that the oil companies were making too much money. That resulted in subsequent shortages of oil in our country and long lines at gas stations. I experienced that when I was in the Air Force in Washington, D.C. In line quite a bit, even on an Air Force base, waiting to get gasoline to be able to make the trip home when I wanted to come home on weekends. this bill, I believe, is going to create budgetary problems for our state because it declares that we will prioritize the energy while we cannot potentially allow an increase in rates as approved by the Public Service Commission. I will not get into the rate-making process of the Public Service Commission, but they do have in that agency a consumer advocate that advocates on behalf of the consumers of this state. And they take all of this evidence and make the most informed judgment that they can. But if we implement a price freeze as proposed in this bill, we're going to end up with shortages and poor quality of service from both our electric and water utilities in the state. I would pose to this body consideration if we're going to prioritize that the state and declare the utilities our core budgetary priorities, which programs are we going to cut from the state budget to transfer money if we're going to make it a core budgetary priority while freezing the rates into the future? Are we going to reduce our appropriations to senior citizens programs? Are we going to cut the appropriations to West Virginia University, Marshall University, or other colleges and universities in the state? The utilities, if they cannot raise their rates to keep up with the normal inflation rate, they are going to need massive subsidies from this state to stay in business. Otherwise, people, in my judgment, are going to suffer from less reliable electrical service to their homes and less reliable water service to their homes. Finally, there are prohibitions and in parts of this, and I'm not an attorney and I won't get into the weeds too much here, but when we prioritize things, possibly some parts of this bill violates the Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution. And one particular thing to finish up my remarks, and I'll try to be as brief as I can on this proposed amendment, it requires that the electric utilities would operate at a 70% standard of generation. And with these words, the Office of Energy should develop strategies for the study of the feasibility of nuclear power when economically renewable reserves of coal and natural gas have been depleted beyond the point of potential for large-scale generation. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't anticipate building any nuclear plants in this state right now. But at some point in the future, it is a 10 to 20-year progress to get approval from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission before you could begin the actual building of a nuclear power plant. If we cannot even consider that until virtually our coal and gas reserves have run out, and we have vast coal and gas reserves in this state which will power this state and this nation for the foreseeable future. And that's why we are an energy state. But when that day comes in the future where those reserves are depleted, I really question whether it's very practical to sit in the dark for 10 to 20 years while they decide whether we're going to move into nuclear energy or not. I take this amendment seriously, but I do not think it is very practical in today's world, and I urge its rejection. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Number 37, Gearhart's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I ask my friend from 79th to you?
Yes.
Gentleman does yield.
Thank you, and I appreciate you. You and I don't get the opportunity to interact much. This is nice. When I looked at your amendment, I saw tried to look at the results, and it would appear to me that there are two possible results. I'd like to present those to you, maybe, and have you to comment on them. Since our utilities, our public utilities, we use power in this case, are entitled to recover costs and to have a profit, if we hold the rates for 3 years, it would appear, number one, that we could be in for a massive rate increase after that period of time based upon current law that does allow them to recover costs and to make a profit. That would be scenario number one. Scenario number two, our power utility companies are for-profit enterprises, even though they're publicly regulated utilities. It would appear to me that they might wish to try to stay within that cost recovery and or modicum profit and reduce services in order to keep their costs within what they are currently charging. Things like installing new power lines, vegetation removal, upgrades to their plants, or other things. Do you see either of those two scenarios occurring within the proposal that you've offered with this amendment?
Like you said, there's many different ways this could play out, many different things that could happen. Those are probably two possibilities. There's other possibilities too. For example, this legislature could adopt bills and policies that might help stabilize electric rates, lead to more of an all-of-the-above energy strategy so that we could benefit from the least cost electricity. So, there's any number of things that could happen, and it's not uncommon for this legislature to adopt a policy position that puts constraints on what the commission can do.
Would you agree that the two possibilities that you have agreed are possible are in fact damaging to the people of the state of West Virginia?
I think there's a lot of possibilities, and if we were to adopt this, I think our legislature, we should adopt policies in addition to this that will help stabilize and reduce electric rates.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the amendments? Gentleman, the second, Douglas Teselo, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to commend the governor for starting a focus on the discussion and implementation of policy for energy. It's something that's long overdue. And when we do this, we're going to have to consider many, many things. We're going to have to consider sources of energy that we may not have right now. We may have to look at what we have and try to prioritize it. The First Amendment, I would like to go through it one by one, but I don't think I'm going to do that because our review of the amendment came up with a few items that we thought might be objectionable. So let me just hit on some high points. First of all, the amendment would cut out energy sources already in the state: hydroelectric, solar, wind, all that kind of thing. So when you have an energy policy making body that you develop to try to use energy wisely, you just disregard those sources. I think that's a mistake. Second thing, remove or put back the moratorium on nuclear. Interesting. Well, then we can forget about Nucor even coming here, because that was one of the things that started to make their decision. Now, are they going to have a nuclear power plant associated with Nucor? I don't know. It's a ways off, if ever. But to have that flexibility meant something to people coming to this state. That's something we shouldn't overlook. I think that's short-sighted. The other thing is, how about hydrogen and those kinds of things? Well, you can eliminate Fronteras, a coal user that will probably have hydrogen as a byproduct and use it as an energy source. So we can eliminate that and all the jobs that come with it. Just a couple examples. This bill is for the government to start to prioritize energy. We need to let it work, and we need no restriction on options. I don't want to return to I've thought about this. When you start to eliminate things and you start to say, you're going to do this with pricing and you're going to do this, you essentially are going back to the horse and buggy days, but I thought about it and I thought that might be a little cruel to the horse and buggy developers. I think this would probably put us back in the Stone Age. And for those reasons, and for the reasons, the 3-year moratorium I think is unwise. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to say that I will vote to reject both of these amendments, and I hope you'll join me in this effort. Thank you.
Gentleman, 22nd, Doggett Linville is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman from the 79th yield, please?
Yes. Well, good morning. Actually, we're in afternoon now. Would your amendment, as I read it, and I note the similar language in the gentleman's amendment, your 3-year moratorium, where it mentions riders, surcharges, or other charges for electric utilities, would that preclude a new large load user of electricity from paying for their connection to the grid, as a for instance?
I don't know. That might be a good question for the gentleman from the 29th who wrote that
You're
language.
offering as well. I'm going somewhere with this, so I want to understand whether or not that would potentially preclude a new steel mill, fill in the blank, some large load user of electricity.
Yep,
From siting in the state of West Virginia entirely.
Yeah.
Over the next
my,
years.
my answer is the same. I'm not sure. I didn't read it that way, but if you wanted to know the intention or any research that went into crafting that language, it came from the gentleman from the 29th.
Nothing further than for you. I'm going to go into this very, very simply. Yesterday, many of us were in the governor's cabinet, or not the cabinet room, in the governor's reception room, where a $4 billion investment was announced that is directly grid connected. That will amount in 125 permanent jobs, 1,000 construction jobs. That will take up 600 megawatts of power, which is the equivalent of 20% of the John Amos power plant's overall capacity at any given moment. But it'll do a heck of a lot more than that. And to the gentleman from the 79th who's offering this, Monongalia County will receive, if this is a $6 billion investment, which is what it typically is, it's per 100 megawatts, it's about $1 billion just in the building, Monongalia County would receive $343,741.77 every year in property tax distributions. That'll pay for quite a bit, all for activity going on in another county. My county is about $300,000. Just to point it out, the gentleman from Wayne County, his county would receive $126,617.80 a year, all for investment that would be going on, and that is and has been announced is going on in Berkeley County. But on top of that, I want to make sure everybody knows the impact here. That would also mean that the Berkeley County Commission would lose out on $6,652,152, that their school bond levy would lose out on $7,948,800, that their school excess levy would lose out on $38 million, that their regular school levy would miss out on another $9.6 million, that the personal income tax would not be reduced by an additional 1.2% for everyone statewide, that the Economic Enhancement Grant Fund at the Water Development Authority would not receive $2.7 million a year, that the Electric Grid Stability Fund to lower everybody's electric rates would not receive $2.7 million a year, and that all counties would not split $5.4 million per year. Mr. Speaker, that might be the most insane thing that I've heard on the floor of this, ever offered on the floor of this House. I urge rejection of both amendments.
Gentleman from 53rd, Douglas Leavitt's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Some reminded us I don't love when our debate drags on when the outcome's probably predetermined, but I just want to mention a couple things very quickly. I think this, generally, I'm very glad we have this bill before us. It strengthens the Office of Energy, which already exists in the Department of Commerce. We heard a lot of testimony about this in the Committee on Energy and Public Works. The governor's laid out a goal of 50 gigawatts by the year 2050. It's extremely ambitious, but we have a real opportunity in our state right now, as my colleague has identified, that will benefit a lot of people and improve their quality of lives. We recognize the challenges of high utility rates. The way to improve those is not by taking artificial measures to cap things, but to lay out sound, solid security energy policy to get to where we need to get as a state. And I've heard people talk of us being the nation's battery, and I think that's a great goal. What this also would aim to do is to help us to use more of our power here. So we want to not just be exporting our power everywhere else, but using it here, because that will enhance our economic development. So this bill includes sections on a comprehensive energy policy and development plan and a grid stabilization and an energy security portion. So again, I think this is a very important bill. Neither of these amendments came before us in the committee. One of them is very lengthy, and again, I appreciate the thought that my colleague brings every time to those committee meetings. We were there very, very late the other evening, and not having discussed any of the provisions of this or considered in committee, I would urge rejection of both amendments. Thank you.
Gentleman, the 29th to close debate on the first of the two amendments.
Mr. Speaker, I was going to ask a question. That was the
Gentleman is
purpose.
recognized.
Okay. Would the gentleman from the 10th, the chair of Energy, yield for a question?
Certainly.
Okay. Mr. Chair, you stated earlier that this precludes all other forms of energy besides coal and natural gas, and then you referred to a moratorium on nuclear energy. Did you happen to see any of the provisions around hydro or any of the other forms of energy which are permitted to be studied for feasibility and potential? Did you see that language?
Yes, I saw some languages to study the feasibility.
Yes. Okay. Just want to make it clear that we're not precluding other forms of energy. That's all I have. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I will now address and close debate on the bill. We've heard a few different things here laid out that we are just putting a random cap on rates, that's going to somehow keep our utilities from functioning properly. And to that, I would say the 3-year moratorium is not some willy-nilly random provision in this amendment. It's there as part of a comprehensive plan, which is similar to Senate Bill 931, to allow the Department of Commerce to implement and coordinate between different branches of government and different agencies toward a common goal of reducing our state's utility costs for affordability for our citizens and for competitiveness with surrounding states. Now, we've heard that this bill is a great bill. Well, okay, but the committee substitute before you isn't a whole lot like the bill. It makes significant changes. But, you know, one of the things I really do like about the bill, which is also in the ComSub, which is also in the amendment, is the Energy Ready Communities. As I said in committee, this has the potential, the power to change communities around our state, to give local communities a voice and a way to say, yes, come here, build that coal plant, build that gas plant. We need the jobs. And I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that went into that aspect of the bill and the ComSub. And I appreciate the willingness of the executive to look at the energy landscape and to chart a course forward with some specifics. I believe that the first requirement of leadership is to identify a destination that you're trying to reach. And with that in mind, I believe that the committee substitute, which adds in renewables all throughout, well, I believe that that takes the focus away from what the original bill and takes the emphasis away from what the original bill was trying to accomplish and shifts it toward unproven technologies and gives them the same emphasis in our state's energy policy as our proven coal and natural gas-based energy. It takes us away from the course that the governor charted, not toward it. And when you're trying to win in a competitive environment, you have to put your best players on the field. Our homegrown champions, our Jerry West, our Randy Moss of energy, these are coal and natural gas. And that's who we should have in our starting lineup. This bill is not a requirement to have another form of energy. You can have other forms of energy explored, and you can have other forms of energy within the state of West Virginia. This does not outlaw any other form of energy that's currently being utilized within the state. That still exists. But we have a choice when we are setting an official state energy policy. We have not just a choice, but we have a mandate to ensure that we are going to use the proven energy resources that our people depend upon, that employ our miners and our oil and gas workers. So, you know, there are times and places for other energy sources, the ones that are already being experimented with. They can prove themselves over time. That's what the JV team and the YMCA and the rec leagues are for. That doesn't mean we have to put them out on the court as our starting lineup. Now, the committee substitute doesn't differentiate between these. It gives them all the same standing in our comprehensive energy policy. Again, I question whether that's wise or not, Mr. Chair. The amendment sets a clear priority on approaching affordability and reliability through leveraging our icons of energy here in West Virginia. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the amendment clarifies a utility affordability and competitiveness policy target to place West Virginia in the driver's seat with the lowest cost of energy relative to the surrounding states by 2030. If you do not set a target, you will not hit that target, ladies and gentlemen. The assumption that just because we build some more plants, that's going to equate to lower energy costs and lower utility bills, it's a faulty assumption if you do not put that out there as a policy target with some specifics embedded in it. And by the way, this target is not a mandate. It's a policy target. It's a concrete goal to strive toward as we seek to help families to stay here and businesses to want to locate here. Senate Bill 931, sponsored by the Senate President and several other senators, carries an almost identical affordability and competitiveness target. I've spoken with Senate leadership and other members, and I believe that the passage of this committee substitute with the amendment will be well received by our colleagues in the other chamber, much more so than the committee substitute as it stands, I can tell you that. We're here again today with a great opportunity to score a huge win for West Virginia, for affordability, for competitiveness. With that, I urge adoption, and I ask for the yeas and nays. And believe me, your constituents will thank you for your yeas.
Gentleman to 79, Douglas Hanson, to close debate on the second of the two primary amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the interest of time, I'm not going to say much, if anything, about the First Amendment, other than to thank the chair and the vice chair of Energy for laying out in detail why that amendment is not the best policy for West Virginia and for our ratepayers. But regarding my amendment, which is specifically to add a temporary rate freeze for electric utility rates, I will acknowledge and appreciate the comments from the gentleman from the 37th that this may not be the most elegant solution, but it's a policy that will have real impacts in the short term on our constituents. I'm sure that you've heard from constituents about electric rates. I know I have. I just got an email 2 hours ago from a constituent about choosing between having money to pay for food and clothing versus paying their electric bills. It's a real issue. And while it may not be the most elegant solution, if we were to pass this amendment today, it's an opportunity for a short-term fix so that we could put the effort in this legislature to adopt longer-term policies that will stabilize and hopefully reduce our electric rates. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I'd ask for your support for my amendment.
Debate on the two primary amendments has been closed. We will take the votes in sequential order, beginning with the more comprehensive of the two primary amendments. Roll call on the primary amendments as requested. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. The question is, shall the amendment offered by the gentleman the 29th be adopted? Those in favor of adoption will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes have it. Chair declares that amendment lost. The question now is on the primary amendment offered by the gentleman the 79th, Douglas Hanson. Those in favor of adoption of the primary amendment will please say aye. Aye. Roll call was denied. Those in favor of adoption of the primary amendment will please, that was on the first one. Sure, chair's in error. Is there the roll call was requested on the primary amendment offered by the gentleman the 79th. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. Question is, shall the primary amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. The noes have it. Chair declares the primary amendment lost. Are there other primary amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Further bills on second reading.
House Bill 5382 relating to the Neighborhood Investment Program.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading.
House Bill 5413 relating to the Central Abuse Registry.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5459 relating to a tax on managed care organizations.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Rohrbach moves to amend the bill. This is HFA Rohrbach 2-26, number 1.
The question is on the primary amendment just reported by the clerk. Chair recognizes the sponsor, gentleman number 26, Delegate Rohrbach, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'll get into this bill more when we next convene, but this is basically to change the effective date of the bill. This regards our MCO tax that we have to modify due to the big, beautiful bill. We're changing in two places the effective date to July 1, 27, and then we're adding a sentence at the end that says, until July 1, 27, the provisions of this section in effect prior to the amendments to this section enacted in 2026 shall remain in full force and effect. So this literally just makes sure that we still have an MCO tax in place until the new tax that we'll get into tomorrow takes effect on July 1, 2027. That's a summary, and I ask adoption.
The question is on the amendment just explained by the sponsor, gentleman the 26, Delegate Rohrbach. Is there debate on the amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the primary amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares that amendment adopted. Are there other amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
House Bill 5554 to modify the building fund for state parties.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute
for what purpose does gentleman 79, Douglas Hanson, seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had an amendment filed on 5554.
On 5554.
Yes.
Okay, clerk will please report the amendment. Is the amendment available in the system? Members have access to the amendment? Okay, clerk will please report the amendment.
Delegate Hansen et al. Move to amend the bill. This is Hansen et al. 2-27.
The question is on the primary amendment. Chair will recognize the sponsor, gentleman from the 79th, on the primary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is another election bill, but it relates to campaign finance and the maximum amount of a donation to a state party, specifically for what's called the party headquarters. This is when the Democratic Party or the Republican Party raises money to pay for a new building for their party headquarters. There's a specific part of state code for that. And currently in state code, those contributions have a limit of $10,000 total. An individual could donate up to $10,000. But what the bill does, essentially, and I don't know if it does this on purpose or inadvertently, but it changes that limit from $10,000 to $1 million. So the way the bill is written, an individual over time can donate $1 million toward a party headquarters. I think that's too high. I don't think we were sent here to allow individuals to donate $1 million. So my amendment would change that $1 million to $500,000. It would still allow what I believe to be donations that are too much, but at least we're reining in the $1 million, bringing it down by half to $500,000. That's my amendment, and I would ask for your support.
Question is on adoption of the primary amendment just explained. Is there debate on the primary amendment? Gentleman from the 55th, Doug Akers, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During the committee process, we debated the amounts. This issue was raised in various forms during the committee process. The amount that's before you right now in the proposed bill is what we agreed to in committee. So as the chair of the committee that reported this to the floor, I defend the committee process and urge rejection. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Again, the question is on the primary amendment as explained by the sponsor. Is there debate on the amendment? If not, gentleman to 79th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been down here long enough to have debated bills related to increasing campaign contributions. I can think of one in particular where I think the limits were raised from $2,000 to $2,800, or maybe from $1,000 to $2,800. So that's one thing. I didn't support that bill, but that's nothing like this bill, which has a lifetime limit of $10,000 that's now going up to $1 million from a single individual to a party. To me, that's entirely unreasonable. I don't think anybody in any of our districts want to see us vote for an individual to give $1 million to build a new party headquarters, to build, I don't even know what you would get for $1 million in this state, a new shrine to whoever you want to build a shrine to for your party headquarters. So it's just, again, I don't know if this was on purpose, the way the bill was drafted or not, but that's the effect of the bill, giving you an opportunity to rein that in just a little bit. I would ask for your support.
The question is on adoption of the primary amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the primary amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Okay, noes. Gentleman from 25th, Doug Hornbuckle.
Yes, sir. Point of inquiry. I believe the gentleman from the 79th asked for a roll call.
Chair did not hear that, but the chair has not called the vote. So at this time is a request for a roll call vote on the amendment sustained. Okay, the request is not sustained. So again, the question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment, please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes have it. Chair declares the amendment lost. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5625 relating to the licensure of radon mitigators, testers, contractors, and laboratories.
Gentleman from the first.
Unanimous consent to postpone action one day.
Are there objections to postponing action 1 day on the bill? No objections are heard. The bill will be postponed by 1 day. Further bills on second reading.
House Bill 5638, relating to the requirements of the state's cybersecurity program and responsibilities and authority of the state chief information security officer.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5653, to confirm the confidentiality of internal audit and other manuals, training materials, guidelines, thresholds, and procedures.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on second reading? If not, bills on first reading.
House Bill 4360, relating generally to allowing the Supreme Court of Appeals discretion to create uniform pay scales for all levels of judicial support staff.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 4421, providing guidelines for the West Virginia Parkways authorities to cease tolls on the West Virginia Turnpike upon completion of all bond payments.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 4425, to repeal the provision allowing for students to transfer from one school to another without losing eligibility.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4793, creating the Barber Apprentice Program.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4869, establish narrow, clearly bounded guarantee issue rights for Medicare supplement policies in West Virginia.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5063, to permit the County Commission to appoint a county commissioner to a Convention and Visitors Bureau as a voting member.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5089, providing for verified mastery of content standards for transcripts when a student enrolls or re-enrolls in a public school in this state.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5106, relating to the Greater Huntington Park and Recreation District.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5163, relating to exempting child care programs operated by a County Board of Education exclusively for the children of its employees from certain licensing requirements.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5319, camping ban on certain public property.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5351, relating to modernization of fees generated from emergency communication service users.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5401, relating to voting in West Virginia elections while residing overseas.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5457, to allow partial credits for the times of disability service in the CPRB for troopers.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5458, relating to professionals be licensed by the West Virginia Board of Medicine.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5463, relating to decreasing Board of Education limits.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5537, repealing obsolete and outdated section of the Education Code.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5557, require advertising materials be submitted with the initial public offering statement.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5660, updates to obtaining a license to carry a deadly weapon statute.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5683, relating to graduation requirements for public schools.
The bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on first reading? If not, leaves of absence. Gentleman the first.
For our colleagues, Delegates Jared Cannon, Fluharty, Kump, Brian Smith.
Are there objections to leaves of absence being granted? No objections are heard. Those leaves of absence will be granted. Introductions. Miscellaneous business. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move, subject to announcements, the House adjourn until 11 a.m. Monday.
Are there announcements?
10 a.m. Monday morning.
10 a.m. Monday. Are there announcements? Gentleman the first.
Your Rules Committee will meet Monday morning, March 2nd at 9:45. Speaker's Conference Room.
Gentleman the 72nd, Douglas Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Finance will have a committee meeting this afternoon, February 27th, 30 minutes after session in the House Finance Committee room. The agenda will be posted. Your Committee on Finance will also meet Monday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. in the House Finance Committee room. The agenda will be posted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman the 41st, Delegate Maynor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Judiciary will meet on Monday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. in the Judiciary Committee room. Republican members of the committee will caucus in the Chairman's office at 8:45. Agendas will be posted. Thank you.
Gentleman the 39th, Douglas Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Government Organization will meet today at 2:15 in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda is posted. Republicans will caucus at 2 p.m. in the Chair's office. And your Standing Committee on Government Organization will meet Monday at 1 p.m. in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda will be posted, and the Republicans will caucus at 12:45 in the Chair's office. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman the 92nd, Douglas Height.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet Monday, March 2nd at 9:05 a.m. in the Health and Human Resources Committee room. Republican members will caucus at 9 a.m. in the meeting before. The agenda is posted. Thank you.
Gentleman the 43rd, Delegate Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Education will meet Monday, March the 2nd at 1 p.m. in the Education Committee room. The agenda will be posted.
From the second, Douglas Ateslo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Energy and Public Works will meet Monday, March 2nd at 3:30 p.m. in the House Judiciary Committee Room. The Republicans will caucus before the meeting at 3 p.m. in the House Judiciary Committee Room, and the agenda will be posted. Thank you.
From the 88th, Douglas Hillenbrand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Veterans Caucus will meet Monday morning, 0700 in the McManus Room.
Are there any further announcements? If not, the question is on the motion that the House adjourn until 10 a.m. Monday morning. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion is adopted. We are adjourned until 10 a.m. Monday.